Welcome to the wrestling experience.
Where it really does pay off to have a cousin in the industry because you get skyrocketed straight to the main event.
And it also helps even more if you're The Rock's cousin.
Yeah, Oos.
Yeah, Naya. Anyways, I'm Jesse Podcast.
I'm Johnny Podcast,
And
not Naya.
Yeah, and we're here to recap SmackDown. Again, incredible episode of SmackDown, but I think it helps the fact that it's 2 hours and it's on Fox, baby. But
yeah, that's what really counts, being on Fox.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, overall great episode. I had a good time with this one.
Yeah, so the show opens up with the big dog, and he's accompanied by Paul Heyman. They're making their way to the ring. Roman is looking mean, and he raises the belt up as the fans in the Thunderdome are booing him. So, yeah, he's a heel. And Paul Heyman talks about how...
Are you sure?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm definitely sure.
I'm not sure yet. I'm still not sure.
So Paul Heyman talks, and he's talking in a quieter voice, and I thought that was a solid promo by Paul Heyman as per usual. And he talks about...
he was talking really slowly too.
Yeah, so he talks about how Roman pulled him back in just when he thought that, he was on his way out. And
George Costanza reference there.
Paul Heyman had nothing to do with corrupting Roman Reigns, but instead it was Roman Reigns that actually corrupted him. And, he was rescued by Roman. And why? Because they did the same thing that they did to Paul Heyman. So, what happened to all the thank yous and the appreciation, when Roman needed just a little time off, right? And he talks about, a fiend is not born to reign. A monster isn't born to reign either. And they mentioned the Fatal 4-Way tonight, and the winner is going to be the sacrificial lamb to Roman Reigns. Again, just really, really solid stuff. Roman talks minimally. He gets on the mic, and he says that he did exactly what he said he'd do. He wrecked the Fiend, he wrecked the Monster, and he walked away Universal Champion. And this is not his yard. He didn't say this is my yard now. He said this is my island now.
Which I much less prefer than my yard,
yes.
But we'll take it.
I agree.
And we should also point out that Paul Heyman did have a very good impersonation of the Monster when he was imitating Braun Strowman being interviewed as potentially the Universal Champion by Fox. Yeah. And he also pointed out that Corey Graves is Carmella's latest boyfriend.
Along with Anderson Cooper, Michael Cole being Anderson Cooper. Again,
for some reason.
Really solid stuff by both Roman and Paul Heyman. And what I liked about the whole Roman thing, that yes, he got on the mic, he said maybe like 2-3 lines, and that was it. And that's what you want from Roman Reigns, right? Because he looked mean and he looked like a really, really good powerhouse heel. So I'm all for it. I'm really excited to see what's next.
This was a strong segment.
Yeah, we are reminded right now that Heavy Machinery is a tag team, and they're gonna be in a match against Miz and Morrison, and they mentioned that the winner is going to be put in title contention. So they didn't say that the winner would be number one contender. It's just that I guess the winner would have a chance to face the current tag team champions. So
makes sense.
Before the match,
and Otis does have his Money in the Bank. We also reminded that he is Mr. Money in the Bank.
Yes, exactly. And he's doing cartwheels and he's gyrating, and it's great. But before the match actually starts, we do have a backstage segment with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. And Jey is pumped up, and he's really happy to see Roman Reigns. And, he does say that I've been hitting you up all week, but I haven't really gotten a response back. And, Roman kind of tells Paul Heyman to kind of walk away. He tells, Jey Uso, not to worry about Paul Heyman, that he loves him and that he's got this. And poor Jey Uso, he wants to know if, they can have a steak after the show, but Roman Reigns just, I guess, doesn't really answer him.
That was the greatest line of the episode without trying to be the greatest line of the episode. The delivery was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So now we are in the ring though, and we're ready for some tag team action. And dude, I remember we talked about this, but we got to see Tucker again showing his wrestling amateur background, and again he impressed me. And it's really funny though, because I think that Tucker would be better as a singles superstar than Otis. For me, Otis will forever be a comedic wrestler, and I feel like Tucker is the one that's actually been looking solid these last couple of weeks.
Well, you're not wrong. Tucker does look good, and he did look good tonight, but I don't know. I think Otis was a little bit better than he's been portrayed the last few weeks.
Well, we did get to see lots of tandem offense by Heavy Machinery, which kind of gives me hope that I would like to see them kind of continue as a tag team. There's no reason for you to be a single superstar, but also not also be a tag team, right? You can do both. So Yes, while Otis is evolving and becoming a single superstar, it would be nice to kind of still see Heavy Machinery kicking ass because they are very entertaining and they always put on a great match. As this match was really good as well.
Absolutely. And we did see Otis actually prove that he's worthy of Money in the Bank because he pretty much dominated the finish, taking out both Miz and Morrison in just like no contest. He just dominated them.
Yeah, well, he hits both Miz and Morrison with a running splash on the turnbuckle. He basically knocking them out, and then he hits the caterpillar on the Miz, and he goes on the top rope and he hits the Miz with the reverse splash for the win. But right after the match, I was gonna say the Miz, but Morrison actually steals his briefcase and he escapes with it.
It's crazy. And that's gonna matter. You just stole the briefcase because Otis is carrying both around.
Yes. So now we're backstage with the Lucha House Party, Drew Gulak and Big E, and they are celebrating Xavier Woods' return during Talking Smack, and it's also his birthday. And Big E mentions the huge opportunity that is the Fatal 4-Way match, and then he's told by some backstage personnel that Xavier Woods is here. And all of a sudden, as Big E picks up the cake and he goes, I guess, where they parked all their cars in the parking lot, Sheamus is there, and then he attacks him, and he's relentless. He takes him out with a bro kick, and then he picks him up on top of a car, and he just slams him on the windshield of the car.
Yeah, straight white noise on the car. I'm wondering if Xavier Woods was actually there or not because we never saw him. Mm-hmm. And does that mean that the guy who told Big E that he was there was told by Sheamus to do this? Was this all a setup? Why would he lie to Big E?
The commentary team did talk about some sort of conspiracy or something like that. So who knows? Like this might actually be more than just Sheamus taking him out. But after the break, EMTs were attending to Big E, and Caleb Braxton confirmed that Big E will be rushed to the hospital. So he's essentially out of the Fatal 4-Way match. And then Sheamus interrupts
medical
her.
Facility.
Yeah, Sheamus interrupts her, saying that he was just minding his own business and he was just defending himself. And this could have been the biggest night of Big E's career, but he just let his friends drag him down again. And that this might not be a Fatal 4-Way match again, but it might actually be a triple threat match. So we'll see what happens. And next up, we do have Sasha and Bayley. They're going to have a rematch against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, but they're interviewed backstage, and Sasha just cuts off the interview person. I forgot her name. I didn't get her name this time. And she starts listing all their credentials, and, the list goes on because they're amazing. And, she says that no matter what, the highs and the lows, Bayley and Sasha have been in this together. And we get a pretty good match between the four of them, minus Nia Jax, who is, in my opinion, just not improving. I don't want to be mean, man, but that's just the way I see it.
I just want to say,
yes.
before I offer my opinion about this match, which I enjoyed, I just want to say I did find it funny when Sheamus did the white noise on Big E because Big E was wearing a white jumpsuit and Sheamus was wearing Big E was wearing a red and white tracksuit, and Sheamus was wearing his white T-shirt, and it just made me think of the Canadian flag with Sheamus's red hair, white. I was like, oh, this is some patriotic stuff here. But
lovely.
That's just maybe it wasn't worth going back for that. But hey, this tag team match was amazing. It was so good. It was very well done. But you're right, Nia hasn't really improved. It just looks like she's trying not to get hurt the whole time,
and trying not to botch and hurt the other person.
But she fails at that part because most of her mental capacity is spent on trying not to hurt herself. But she did do some impressive stuff, and she took a pretty brutal bump, which was basically an apron powerbomb where Sasha kind of dives out of the ring while Nia's on the apron and tries to powerbomb her, and Bayley gets the assist for that. That was a pretty brutal spot. And this match was, honestly, I think I liked it the most on the card. It was really well done. It played back to their match at Payback. The finish also kind of was similar to that. It was overall great, and Sasha was selling a pretty bad knee injury after she was trying to get an offensive move on Shayna Baszler, but ended up kneeing herself into the ring post. Mm-hmm. So that was definitely one of the reasons why she couldn't pick up the win. Her knee would collapse on her a lot, and yeah, it was a great match.
The interesting part though was, well, first of all, I think that Sasha put on a great effort against Nia. She hit her with a Meteora. She basically tried to reverse pretty much anything that Shayna got to, basically was giving at her. But Sasha, the way that she was selling and everything, I was starting to feel like Sasha was the face in this match. You know what I mean? Like even the commentary team was talking about like the valiant effort from Sasha Banks, and Corey doesn't say anything nice about Sasha nor Bayley. You know what I mean? So just kind of seeing how the commentary team was also kind of not rooting for Sasha, but just kind of talking her up and everything. I was like, man, what a gutsy performance by Sasha. And
that's a good point, because I also felt like Bayley and Sasha were the face team, more so Sasha, but Bayley also was definitely displaying some more face characteristics for this match.
Yeah,
so I was definitely rooting for them to win. I really wanted them to win the titles back, although I was not expecting them to.
Absolutely. And Nia takes them out with the flying crossbody, and she pins both of them for the victory. But what was the most interesting part was post-match, because Sasha...
Hang on.
Yes.
The finish is beautiful because it's just like how Shayna took them both out in their previous match. Mm-hmm. Now it was Nia's turn to take them both out, which I thought was a very nice callback. But yeah, the real story is what happens after the breakdown. And I'm sure you're devastated about this, aren't you?
Yes, I know. So Sasha is being tended by a bunch of trainers and medical personnel, but she doesn't want any help. And Bayley's the one that actually kind of tells them all to kind of back away. And Bayley's helping her out, right? Being the good friend that she is, right? Because they are the golden role models. But as she's kind of helping her out outside, bam, she starts beating her up. She starts kicking her. Dude, we get a 5-minute beatdown. Like
this was probably
intense.
Not intentional, but it was interesting. The SmackDown Women's title was in the ring, and Bayley kind of just ignored it to help her friend. It really looked like she cared, and she was putting her title above it. It was probably not intentional, and it was probably just it happened to be there, and it just made it look good. And it was just me looking into the details way too much. But yeah, she just, after Sasha doesn't basically refuses help for her knee, she gets kicked by Bayley, and then Bayley goes all out. She's yelling at Michael Cole if he's happy. Is it boss time? And then she goes for the put the chair around your leg and stomp thing. But Sasha's able to fight out, but then she's no match for like this running knee. It was a very smooth running knee. And then Sasha got it worse because instead of putting the chair around her knee, she put it around her neck. Yeah. And she did a guillotine off the top rope. And that was brutal.
So the friendship is over, and I'm ready for a face Sasha. Just getting her revenge on Bayley.
Sasha's going to be a SmackDown Women's Champion, and she's going to be able to defend it when she beats Bayley and then beats her again. Yeah. Calling it now.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, we get a scene of Sasha being stretchered out, and she's taken out of a building via ambulance. So
I was really hoping that the ambulance would drive off, stop, and then the Fiend would come out of it again, but it didn't happen.
Oh, lovely. So now Sami Zayn is out, and he isn't happy with Greg Hamilton because he did not mention the fact that Sami Zayn is your Intercontinental Champion.
And his excuse was just embarrassing, too.
Yeah, he said that, it just wasn't in my lines. Like, I was told not to say it. Yeah.
Like what?
And Samuel was like, wait, who was it? Was it Marty in the truck? I want to talk to him. Come on, Marty. What a B-plus production truck guy. And he's and Marty's like, well, yeah, sorry, like it wasn't in my script, like I wasn't supposed to say it. And Sami Zayn isn't happy, but out comes Jeff Hardy, and Jeff's like, you know what? Listen, I've told you this before. I'm willing to give you an IC title match. And Sami is insulted by that because why would you give me an IC title opportunity when I'm already the IC champion? You should be the one.
It should be the other way around.
It should be the other way around. Yeah, exactly. So they're both bickering, and out comes AJ Styles. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, inject this just inject this match right into my veins, because I'm like looking forward to the three of them battling it out, and we got to see a little bit of that because
this is the best match on Night of Champions, like Clash of Champions. It's already without even being announced, it's going to be the best one.
Absolutely, and AJ Styles kind of gets on the mic and he's like, I'm the uncrowned IC champion. He attacks Jeff Hardy, and Sami kind of basically is backing away, looking at AJ Styles attacking Jeff Hardy, but then Sami kind of gets into the action, but then Styles attacks him as well, and by God, they're all attacking each other, before Sami Zayn actually gets Hardy with the haluva kick, and he escapes.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good segment setting up what's going to be a great match. We also get an update. We also get an update on our main event. It's still a fatal four-way because Big E is being replaced by Jey Uso. Can you believe it?
And
at this point, I'm like, Jey Uso is going to win. Like, why else would he be in this match?
Exactly. It's always the person that gets added at the last minute that wins. You know what I mean?
It's absolutely insane. We also have a mystery woman walking with high heels. We don't know who she is. Could be Lacey Evans. It could just be someone new.
I was going to say that was probably Lacey Evans. I can't think of
No.
anyone else that gets moved up to the main roster or something like that.
I'm sorry to disappoint you. There's also a backstage segment with Heavy Machinery and Tucker's being the good friend that he is, he's upset because he hasn't found Morrison to get back the briefcase, but Otis is not worried because apparently the contract is in the lunchbox, not in the briefcase.
What a smart man.
And then we cut to Miz and Morrison, and Miz is like, you're not Money in the Bank just because you have the briefcase. And Morrison's like, no, we'll see about that. And he opens it only to find a stapler, a sandwich, and I think some tape.
Something like that. And Morrison was about to take a bite of that sandwich, but no, I guess Miz was like, no, don't you dare.
Not with those abs.
Exactly. So before the main event, though, we have another backstage segment with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. It was pretty quick. Jey is basically talking about how he's ready to turn up at Clash of Champions. And Roman is, you know what? Let's see if you can get a victory on your own. And he wishes him luck. So a little passive-aggressive right there.
It's interesting to note that the main event has kind of started, the entrance stuff started. Matt Riddle is already in the ring at this point. He already had his entrance, and we were cutting to backstage segments. There's another one too with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, where they just have a little interaction where Nikki's is sorry about what happened, and they hug each other, and it's all good, and it's all water under the bridge.
You mentioned Alexa Bliss, but you forgot the fact that there was the Firefly Funhouse right before. And
you're right.
During the Firefly Funhouse, Bray welcomes us, and he talks about how The Fiend lost his favorite toy, but he's happy because a brand new friend is coming to the Funhouse, and I'm thinking it's probably Alexa Bliss.
Or it's Roman Reigns. I mean, I'm pretty sure The Fiend is going to get a piece of Roman Reigns at some point.
I get it, but the whole story that they orchestrated, because right after we have Nikki Cross who's backstage, and Alexa Bliss comes in and she apologizes, and she's kind of being distant because Nikki does not even, Nikki's about to accept her apology, and she kind of just cuts her off, hugs her, and then just walks away. So I'm thinking, they put these segments together, and I'm thinking, it kind of has to be Alexa Bliss.
That is a good point.
But now we do have our main event. Well, it's finally starting. And, actually, before it starts, we do have Baron Corbin who comes out, and he's not happy that Jey Uso got put in the match. And Riddle has enough, and he kind of runs outside to attack Corbin.
This is while Corbin's on his little platform, and he's like, put me down, and it was pretty hilarious. And then they kind of beat each other up for a bit before the rest of the superstars in the match came out.
Yeah, and this match was already a slobber knocker before it even began. But
yeah, how often can you say that?
But after the break, the main event is finally starting. And we get a solid 10-minute wrestling match, to be quite honest with you. I loved the main event. And the thing is, though, the moment that they put Jey Uso in this match, I knew that he would win so that Roman would destroy him. And I cannot believe that in 1 week, this whole week, though, we have seen the Iconics break up. We've seen Bayley attack her best friend, Sasha Banks. And now we get Roman finally getting the opportunity to kill a family member. So it's been a crazy, wild ride of a week.
Yeah, and I can't wait for the eventual Roman Reigns versus Nia Jax match as well, because he's going to go through his family members one by one.
Oh my God. So the whole story of this match is, Sheamus and Corbin basically working on the faces for a good part of the match. Sheamus looked brutal all match long. I actually was really impressed by him. And, again, that if Sheamus is in a match, it's going to be solid. But we also got to see some great mat wrestling by Matt Riddle. And Jey Uso did have, I guess, momentum on his side, because at one point he was kind of super kicking all over, and surprisingly though, the finish of the match, Matt Riddle basically hits the floating bro on Baron Corbin, and in a split second later, Jey Uso immediately catches him with a frog splash for the surprise win. And what I found most surprising is that Jey Uso pinned Matt Riddle and not Baron Corbin. I thought that they would have protected Matt Riddle, but no, he hits the frog splash on Matt Riddle, and Jey Uso answers the call, and he gets the opportunity for the Universal title.
Yeah, there were a few other finishers in that sequence. There was an End of Days that was missed, and then a bro kick before all that stuff happened. But yeah, it ended up with Jey Uso getting the one-up on Riddle, which was surprising, as you said. And now we're going to see the murdering of Jey Uso by Roman Reigns at Clash of Champions. It's going to be pretty brutal.
It's going to be lovely. And let's not forget that at the very, very end, he's interviewed by Kayla Braxton, who congratulates him for, being the #1 contender. And, he gets on the mic and he, calls out the big dog, and he's like, "Big dog, I made the family proud as well." and he's about to welcome Roman to the Uso penitentiary, but he kind of stops and he's like, and that was the end of SmackDown. So very, very surprising. And honestly, like I'm all for it, because if we are gonna get a heel Roman, like what would be the best? Like this is probably the best thing that they could have thought about, right? Like kind of putting another family member in a match so Roman Reigns can just basically dismantle him.
I would not be surprised if he crushes him within a couple of minutes, and then Otis tries to cash in and also gets crushed in a couple of minutes.
Oh my God! You know what though? To be quite honest with you, like it's not that I have soured on Otis. I just don't think that Otis has it in him to kind of cash it in and win against Roman Reigns. I think that would just be
if he's smart, he just won't cash it in.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe you should just cash it. Maybe you should just cash it in on Nakamura and Cesaro or something like that. I have no freaking clue what he can do at this point, because he's not taking the title off Roman. That's for sure.
Does he still have a year, or is that over? Is that rule over? Can he just do this?
I think it's still within a year, but he's still got a long time left. Like let's not forget that the Money in the Bank was
it's only a few months.
Pandemic. Yeah, exactly. But that was our recap for SmackDown. Again, a solid episode. I thought that. Yes, at the end we got a lot of backstage segments, but they were so smooth. They were quick. They were to the point. And again, like we got some solid matchup. And I think the best match, in my opinion, the match of the night had to be the women's tag team match, because again, we.
Yeah, but it was close. It was close.
It was.
The Fatal 4-Way was just as good.
Absolutely. And what I found about the women's tag team match, I think I enjoyed it a bit more than what we got from Payback, but the Payback's finish was just so good that it kind of put the match on, like at the very top of the list. But again, like the story that was told in the match, like I was really impressed, and Sasha kind of working as the face, like it was kind of obvious that where they were going with it, and I am super looking forward to the IC title scene. I think that it's going to be like an amazing match between the three of them if the match does get announced at Clash of Champions, which I wouldn't be surprised if it got announced. And man, I'm looking forward to Roman Reigns beating the crap out of Jey Uso. As much as I like the Usos, like I just think that like I am so ready for heel Roman, and this is how Roman is gonna get over.
I just wish Roman Reigns would beat up the Uso that always gets caught for DUIs. Isn't that the one that's out, and he has to? So the good one has to get beat up for it.
I'm pretty sure both of them have been caught for DUIs at this point. You know what I mean?
Possibly. I don't even know. I can't even tell which one's which.
And let's not forget that this whole thing with Alexa Bliss, I don't know if you got the opportunity to watch Talking Smack. I got to see a little bit of clips here and there. Sasha Banks was actually a guest. It didn't really last long, because as Xavier Woods and Kayla are talking to her, well, Kayla does mention the fact that she's really happy to see her, and she's really happy that Alexa Bliss reconciled with Nikki Cross. And like Alexa Bliss kind of mentions her pigtails and like the new look that she's got going with her hair, right? The little dreads. And Xavier Woods actually, and this was great because he said that he has been in Alexa's shoes, because if you remember a couple of years ago when the New Day were feuding with the Wyatt family, Xavier Woods was showing some sides of him where like he was being controlled by Bray Wyatt, and he actually alluded to that. He's like, I've been there and I've seen what Bray Wyatt or the Fiend does, and like I feel you and everything like that. And Alexa Bliss kind of, she had that perfect look of like the deer in the headlights, and she just kind of said that, hey, this was great, I'm really happy we got to do this, I gotta go, and then she just walks away. So just really, really great stuff. And I think that with the Fiend losing, it kind of sucks that him losing the way that he did, but the fact that they're already putting him in a very, very interesting story with Alexa Bliss, I think that's like my most anticipated story on SmackDown.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Who knows what they could do? They could do a lot of cool stuff. It's pretty much Joker and Harley Quinn stuff. But yeah, I'm excited about that. And yeah, the Xavier Wood being afraid of Bray Wyatt was a really fun little thing that he added to that storyline back in the day.
Absolutely. So again, SmackDown, 2 thumbs up. It was a great episode, and I think the constant throughout the past couple of weeks is that SmackDown is a 2-hour show. It's been solid, and all the stories are kind of interwoven. And if they're not, like the segments are so to the point and precise that like the show just keeps on going. You know what I mean? Like versus Raw, that's kind of a drag every single time. SmackDown is hitting it on all cylinders, man.
Yeah, at least for the last few weeks, it's been much better on SmackDown. Excited to see what happens next. We got a lot of time for this build for Clash of Champions, which is cool because, considering we had like a 1 week build for Payback, this is going to be a little bit more exciting. Things will breed, things will develop. Bayley and Sasha is probably the most interesting storyline that's going to go into Clash of Champions for me, on SmackDown at least. Yeah, I'm very excited to see what they do and how they build to that pay-per-view.
Well, perfect. So that was our recap for SmackDown. Make sure to subscribe to us. Thank you so much for the support once again. You'll find all of the information in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, come on, love us. What are you, cowards? Just love us.